Sacred Mysteries.
Hello and welcome to Sacred Mysteries Worldwide channel. I'm your host, Reverend MignonGrayson, and I am an interfaith, interspiritual, indigenous faith minister. And you are in the Sacred Mysteries School of Spiritual Learning. Today, the topic of discussion is Ancestor Reverence. It is one of my most favorite topics. It is how I started my spiritual walk very early on in life, and it is a very central, important part of my spiritual walk, path, and tradition. Ancestor Reverence has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years as part of the spiritual tradition of many ancient cultures across the world, and it still exists today in many cultures, but there are some cultures where the practice has died out for one reason or another. Namely, you won't see it in European cultures, Christianity, Islam. It's not a part, but you can find it in many of the other ancient traditions across the world. It is so very important as you are on your spiritual path to honor those who have come before. Now, when you look at Ancestor Reverence, it's based on the fact that we have a spirit that lives on after our body dies. And that spirit carries on another existence in the land of the ancestors, in the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it. But they move on from the physical earth plane into the spiritual plane and continue on their journey as spirits. Being a physical being on the earth is a very small part of our existence and a part of reality in and of itself. So the ancestral realm exists, and that's where our ancestors are, and they stay there until they are reincarnated, and some are not reincarnated and they stay there and they maintain being ancestors who help their descendants on earth, as well as act as spiritual guides for some of their descendants and others. So anyway, that's a brief introduction of Ancestor Reverence. Ancestor Reverence is a very, very central part of African traditional religions, and that is where I learned about Ancestor Reverence. The importance of Ancestor Reverence is that you are being supported, you are being cared for, you are being looked after by those ancestors who have gone on to the spirit realm. That you are always surrounded by your loving ancestors who are wanting to help you. They understand the walk of this earth life. They have been there. They've been through the trials and the tribulations and the happies and the not so happy parts of life. They've been through it all, and they know what it takes to get through these types of things in life, and they want you to do better than what they did when they were here. Just like any parents, grandparents, and so forth and so on going back, they want you to have the benefit of the wisdom and the knowledge that they learned so that you can build on that knowledge and experience to do better for not only yourself, but for your other family members and for future descendants. Now let me explain who the ancestors are. Ancestor is a blood relative who was an elder to us while they were alive and who passed on. They are also those who have passed on before, many of that we don't know, and it goes back on until antiquity. An ancestor is someone who lived, their life as decent and as good as possible. And when they crossed over, having lived a good life and doing the best that they can. Those are the ancestors that we are speaking of when we talk about reverence and doing rituals that help to elevate them and keep them connected to you. An ancestor can be qualified, and this is broad qualifications. I'm sure there are many other schools of thought, but these are the ones that I want to bring to the forefront here in this video. Ancestor reverence is built on the understanding that humans have at least two parts. They have a physical part and they have a spiritual part. And it is that physical part that dies off and is buried or cremated, and it is the spirit part of the person that continues on in the land of the ancestors. Ancestors can be qualified by the following criteria. They lived to adulthood. They were a positive contributor to their societies, their families. Not that saying that they were perfect people and they didn't have, personality quirks and things that weren't always in a good state, but they were decent people. We're not looking for perfection here. And they were a non-hardened criminal at the time of death, and they were not insane. They were not, mentally insane. Those that qualifies an honored ancestor. Now, that doesn't leave the others out that fit that category of hardened criminals that cause a lot of harm to other people, or people who are mentally ill, but you would treat them differently than honored ancestors. They require a special type of ritual and honoring. But for the purpose of general ancestor reverence, we are talking about the honored ancestors, those ancestors that crossed over and they continue their existence in the land of the ancestors, is still learning and elevating and having their life assignments or their ancestral assignments, and they are charged with helping their descendants to continue their journey on the earth plane. Now, it's done out of love, it's done out of care, it's done out of the wanting of us to elevate and do better than they did, to build on what they did, and to do that same thing for our descendants and all of our descendants. So it's a cycle, of ancestors being born and reincarnated and dying and coming back, and we all had many lifetimes, so we have the ability to acquire knowledge and wisdom over courses of incarnations. And the beauty of ancestor reverence is that you have access as someone as a descendant to the collective wisdom of your ancestors. So when you start to do ancestor reverence and honoring your ancestors, you can tap into that wisdom in certain ways in order to help you here and now today. So that's the beauty of it. It is an honoring. It is love. It is spiritual upliftment. It is evolution, and it is light. Ancestor reverence has all of that encompassed within the practices. So I just wanted to give sort of like an overview of ancestor reverence in that way. Now, one thing I want to say is that the land of the ancestors, the spirit realm, the astral realm, ancestors still continue to exist, interact, continue having different, daily activities and things that they involve themselves in, as well as helping us on earth. So it does, just because they're deceased here doesn't mean they die and then they cross over and then it's like waiting around to help us. They still got their assignments. They're still continuing on their path, because it's about different planes of existence. The earth is one, the spirit realm is another, with many other planes of existence within that. And so they are in the ancestral realm of existence, continuing on and being reunited with those who left before them. And it's a whole nother realm that things continue on. In their continuing of their activities and all that they are existing and doing, one of the things is to help their descendants. And they do that, and they come back and they have their own assignments. They come at our request. They help us with the things that we are praying for. They help us with the things that we need that maybe we're not praying for or we don't see. They help us to see. They help to intervene in so many different ways on this earth plane. And so the more that we give them honor and reverence, the more ability they have to interact on our behalf on this earth plane. There's a density of the earth plane and the spiritual plane, and they resonate at different vibrations. So our ancestors from the ancestral realm, coming to this realm to help us, it takes a lot of different energy. Now, you're building, you're giving food, you're giving praise, you're giving honor, you're telling their stories, you're, setting them up on the altar and lighting candles and doing all the things that help to send them positive, beautiful energy. It helps them to be able to connect with us and intervene on our behalf on this earth plane. And that is how Ancestor Reverence works. We also can receive messages and insights from our ancestors of things that we need to do in order to be successful and happy and fulfilled in our lives. And so there's so many beautiful blessings from connecting with our ancestors. One of the things that we do in incorporating ancestor reverence practices is remembering who they are by their names and their birth dates, just talking and telling their stories. There's also the setting up of an ancestral altar, which is, if you're interested, there's another video on this channel that goes into that for beginners. And basically keeping them in our memory and, sitting and conversing with them and convening with them and sending them prayers. All of this helps to strengthen them in our lives so that they can continue to help us and we can continue to help them. So it's a relationship of reciprocity. It's not one way that they're doing for us, but we are also doing for them, or that we're doing for them and they're not doing for us. It's a relationship. It's a relationship that's separated by the veil. If they would do the same thing if they were alive with us in this time, we would rely on each other as family to help one another. And everybody comes with their strengths and can, contribute something to the collective good of the family. One thing that is very important to ancestor reverence is also honoring them, because without them, we wouldn't be here. Without them having lived their lives and gone through their struggles and their triumphs, we wouldn't be here today. So we honor them just because of that. If nothing else, even, you wouldn't, you have done enough. But what's beautiful is the relationship continues and it goes deeper than that. And we are who we are because of them. And also what helps with ancestral reverence is there's ancestral healing, where the healing of certain traumas and wounds or repetitive cycles that are not good, negative repetitive cycles that have shown up in the family can be healed through ancestor reverence and honoring them and figuring out, what you need to do in order to heal that particular area of the family line. In African traditional religions, ancestor reverence is our spiritual foundation. Above and beyond or before anything else, we honor our ancestors. Ancestors come first always, because we would not have been here without them. No one would exist without them. So they come first. They come before any of the Orisha. They come before any other spiritual practices. You can have a foundation in ancestor reverence and be okay in your spiritual walk. They come first. They are foundational. In the Orisha tradition, there is also a part of the spiritual tradition called Egungun. And Egungun deals with the collective ancestral spirits for the whole community of the Yoruba. And there are certain festivals and certain rites and rituals that are done in order to keep a healthy relationship and to honor and respect the collective Egungun spirits, the collective ancestral spirits. That's how important ancestral reverence is to the Yoruba Orisha community. So in essence, we honor our ancestors to honor the legacy of our lineage, to give them light, to give them love, to give them positive energy, to continue their journey on in the land of the ancestors. And we do that in the form of remembering who they are, telling their stories, keeping their traditions alive in what we do, keeping their traditions going and passing those traditions down. We do it by lighting candles and saying prayers and singing songs. We do that in having festivals and parties in their honor. We do that in setting up our ancestral shrines and tending to that shrine on a regular basis and talking to them and letting them know how you remember and love them and how you honor them, even the ones that you don't know, because they are the ones that sacrificed and survived so that we can be here today. It's all a part of your spiritual path. So daily, I honor and salute my ancestors. I remember them. I have my own ancestral shrine, which I go to on a regular basis to make sure that I commune with them and I talk to them and I listen to their guidance as well, so that they can help me navigate throughout my life on all levels. Call on those in my family that have certain that I know had certain specialties in their crafts and they were specialists in different things in their fields that they worked in life. If I need that insight, I will, or I need someone to come in my life with that insight, I go to them and I ask them. So it's really a beautiful way to have to broaden your spiritual life and to have your ancestors close to you as possible. They are there whether you're doing your ancestor practices or not. They are with you. They are around you. They are surrounding you. They are whispering to you. They are giving you those insights. And the more that you incorporate ancestral practices into your life, the stronger that connection will be, the clearer you'll hear them, the more influence they can have to help you. And, it's just something that is really, really powerful to have in your life, as your ancestors have your back, they have your front, they have your sides, they have you all the way around. Ancestors work to help us through life's challenges. They also help us on our quest for spiritual evolution, acting as spirit guides or tutelary spirits. They can access wisdom of all the ages. They do not have the restriction of the physical body that keeps them anchored to any realm. They can go back and forth through time and dimensions. So they have that kind of freedom, so they can help us in our quest for spiritual growth and development. They show up as your intuitions to encourage you to do things or go in a particular direction. They show up as warnings, or, let's say you've been doing something the same way and going the same route. And then all of a sudden one particular day you decide to change that route. And then later on you find out either the route was flooded or, there was too much traffic or, something even more catastrophic could have happened that you were avoided because your ancestors were able to guide you in that way. All over, they honor their ancestors. They remember them. They have rituals and practices that vary in scope and size. There are festivals in honor of your ancestors, and remembering them on the day that they were birthed and the day that they crossed back over to the ancestral land, their day of death, is also another way to honor them. Ancestor practice is just such an awesome and ancient old practice that has supported humankind throughout the ages. We are connected. We are connected energetically, irregardless of space and time. They are there in their realm. We are here in this realm, but we are connected through our DNA, through our love, and through our experience and our history. We are all connected. So if you're interested, I also have another video on this channel. I have how to feed your ancestors food. Also have how to set up an altar. I also talk about ancestral groups. So check out the channel for more information on ancestors should you be interested in more. A lot of the information that I've discussed here is in a book that I wrote, and it's called Ancestor, Reverence, and Ritual, a beginner's guidebook on how to honor those who have come before. and it goes through much more of what I talked to here. It's available on Amazon. I will have a link to it in the description, so if you're interested, you get yourself a copy. It has rituals, it has songs, it has prayers, all specifically and ancient prayers that have been being used for a long time to honor the ancestors, both in Yoruba as well as translated to English. So it has a plethora of information to help you get started on your ancestor practices. So anyway, I'd like to say thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking like, subscribing, and sharing this video with those you think it would be beneficial. Until next time, peace. Sacred Mysteries.